Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at my website, starborninstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is A Day of Decision Arrives. And that is because yesterday we had a full moon at 4 degrees of Scorpio. So if you were a person that was born somewhere near the end of October, that full moon would be right on your sun. And since it was only at 4 degrees yesterday, it is still a full moon in Scorpio today. And that is why it's very appropriate to say that a day of decision arrives. And I think it's today. And it could be a decision that you have to make about a financial matter, because Scorpio is the traditional ruler of the 8th house of money coming in through any other source. And generally it's something like a partner's money. So Scorpio rules credit, debt, taxes, loans. It rules inheritance and insurance proceeds and grants. And as I said, Scorpio rules money management, so it rules money going out or coming in. And this is a time when there are two stories that I'm going to tell you right now that can explain why today, or right now, is a day of decision that has arrived. It may have taken a long time to arrive, but it's here. And that is because the first story involves the fact that there are 5 planets, all in a harsh T-cross among the fixed signs. Last week there were only 4, but there are 5 now. And that is because that full moon in Scorpio at 4 degrees is being opposed by the Sun at 4 degrees of Taurus, and Jupiter and Uranus are also in Taurus. And so all 3 of the planets in Taurus are squaring that full moon, are opposing that full moon in Scorpio. And Pluto, another ruler of Scorpio, is in Aquarius, the sign of the future, and it too is squaring the full moon in Scorpio right now. But it is also squaring the Sun, Jupiter, and Uranus in Taurus. So those are the 5 planets. 4 of them are in the fixed financial signs, Scorpio and Taurus. And they're not in good aspect to each other, they're opposing each other. And so, since Pluto rules truth, and it's the truth about future plans, because Pluto is in Aquarius, and it is squaring both, or all 4 of the fixed financial signs, it simply means that there can be a lot of challenges right now that are based on financial considerations. And they could be happening to all of us right now. We may have to face, and also whole countries, or large corporations, institutions, and governments, because everybody has to look at their bottom line and the financial situation that they find themselves in now. And it is quite true that the world is swimming in debt, and debt is ruled by Scorpio. Okay, so that gives you some idea. That's the harsh configuration of these 5 planets, which are half of all the planets in the heavens, in harsh aspect to each other, means that this is a time when a final decision has to be made about a financial matter. And so the second story that you need to consider as well is that there are 3 pair of planets that are conjuncting each other, and they are in 3 different signs, but they are consecutive signs. So they don't trine each other, but conjunctions are pretty strong. And so the first conjunction that you would want to consider, particularly if you're concerned with financial matters right now, is that Jupiter is at 22 degrees of Taurus, exactly conjunct a malefic planet, Uranus, also at 22 degrees. And remember, the Sun's in Taurus as well. But these planets in fixed signs are really being challenged right now. And it can be that if you have been enjoying beneficial results from your investments, which is what Taurus rules, and it also rules commercial real estate, high-priced things, and high-priced art, and it is being conjuncted by Uranus, and Uranus is a malefic planet because it rules sudden, surprising change. And that means the value of your investments can be going up and down. They can be fluctuating. Uranus rules volatility. And when there is extreme financial volatility, you can see why this could be a day when a decision arrives that you have to make. Okay, so that's one conjunction. The problem is that Taurus is an earth sign and there aren't any other planets in the earth signs. These planets in Taurus are being opposed and squared, but they're not being supported by any other planets in the earth signs. The next pair of planets that are conjuncting are right behind that, and they are Venus, which is in Aries, and Venus is conjuncting Mercury, which is retrograde in Aries. Remember, we just had a solar eclipse in Aries denoting new beginnings. And so, since Mercury is retrograde, it can be that a lot of people could be looking at their bottom line and saying, oh, wait a minute, I don't think I can make this new beginning in the way that I wanted to. Possibly because the money's not there, or the expenses are too high, or something's wrong, something's throwing the budget out of whack. And so also they could be thinking that, could they do it alone or do they need partners? There's all kinds of things to consider, but one of them is certainly a volatile financial condition, not perhaps of the person that wants to make the new beginning, but maybe of other people around them or their employer, whoever they work for. Or it could be that costs are so high and nobody can get around that the costs can be causing people to sort of shrink their plans for a new beginning. Not stopping the new beginning, but maybe delaying that or rethinking how they're going to do it, or maybe they're going to be willing to step back a little bit and finish some other business matters before they start their new beginning. Because when Mercury goes retrograde, which it does for about 3 weeks when it goes retrograde, it is a better time not to start things, but to wind things up, or to finish off things that you haven't gotten to, but you need to do something about them. And that is how to work with a retrograde Mercury. So anyway, a new start can be in question right now. And it might be due to changes in financial conditions, or simply changes in the terms of a legal contract. That would be Venus. Venus rules Libra, and that rules the law. And so the third conjunction that is occurring now is the primary reason why a day of decision arrives now. And it is because there are 3 planets that are in Pisces. And Pisces rules things behind the scenes, and it rules inspirational dreams and your highest ideals. And it can rule hidden enemies and also your hidden doubts and fears. And so 2 of the planets of the 3 are conjuncting each other, and they're not the same 2 that were conjuncting last week. And that is because a major planet, the strongest one in the heavens right now, is Neptune in Pisces, because it's home in the sign it rules. But Neptune now has moved up to the 29th degree of fate in Pisces. And that's why this is a day when a decision has to be made. And so, because it's the 29th degree of fate, and Neptune can rule omissions and deceptions and things hidden behind the scenes, but at the same time, it can rule your most precious dream. And so Neptune has moved up to the 29th degree of fate. That means it's going to be leaving the sign, and your dream could go with it. So you really have to make some important decisions now. But it isn't going out tomorrow or anything. Neptune is going to retrograde in Pisces. It'll go back a few degrees, and then it'll turn around and it'll go forward, and it will cross over that 29th degree of fate where it is now, and it will do that by next March. And then your dream's going to be gone. It might be going out the window right now, because Neptune is at the 29th degree of fate. And it depends on what decision you make right now. Or, do you go for the dream? Or do you succumb to the pressure of hidden malign forces behind you? Do you give in to something that's not too good? Or do you still go for your highest dream? That's the decision you have to make right now, because Last week, Saturn, a malefic planet, was being conjuncted by Mars, another malefic planet in Pisces. These two planets would have been up to no good. There would have been bad things going on behind the scenes. And they could have been very malicious. They could have involved crimes, or they could have involved blackmail about crimes. So anyway, real suspicious things going on behind the scenes when Mars and Saturn were conjuncting. But now Mars is the faster planet. It is not conjuncting Saturn anymore. It's just 8 degrees away from it, so it's not in a conjunction of Saturn. But it has moved up. Now it is at the 24th degree of Pisces, and it is conjuncting Neptune. And that's why, since Mars is a planet of greed and aggression and hate and war and jealousy, and it's in a sign that rules things behind the scenes. And now it's conjuncting the planet that is the strongest planet in the heavens. Both Mars and Neptune are direct. And Mars is at 24 degrees. It's conjuncting Neptune at 29 degrees. This is a time when you either are going to succumb to temptation, or you're going to succumb to the things that aren't too good for you, or you're going to say, I'm not going to let anybody ruin my dream. But you could be under a lot of pressure now about that. A really hard pressure. And it could almost look like your dream would be fading away due to all the hard pressure around you. So those are the two stories that I want to tell you that you need to take into consideration when you are thinking about making a decision right now. And I think everybody's going to have to do that. And it would be somewhat based on a financial condition or a financial challenge that you are facing right now, or the cost of something. But the only element, there's 4 elements, fire, air, earth, and water. There's only one element that's got planets trining them. Okay, so they're going to succeed. And it happens to be because the full moon is in Scorpio. And that full moon in Scorpio, which rules justice and survival, is trining Saturn, Mars, and Neptune in Pisces. So that full moon actually has a lot of support behind it. It depends sort of on how people decide what they're going to do. This is an important time of decision for everybody, and it has arrived. But there's going to be an element of justice concerned with it, and Scorpio rules survival. So is there a possibility that even under the tremendous pressure of an enemy behind the scenes that could destroy your precious dream, is there a chance that you could just say no, and I'm going to make it succeed anyway? Yeah, there is a chance for that. There really is. The only planet that's trining the sign of Pisces is the moon in Scorpio. And together, those 4 planets are trining the sign of Cancer. This has something to do with America and Ukraine. They're both ruled by Cancer. So is Canada. So, it is possible that a precious dream could come true, but it would be under tremendous pressure right now, financial pressure, or something really bad going on behind the scenes that could influence a financial decision that you make. So this is a time when you really need to think hard. And just remember, the fire signs don't have any support, neither do the earth signs, and neither do the air signs, because there's nothing trining them. But there is in the water signs. And so what do the water signs rule? Your feelings. And, for instance, Cancer rules endings, but they're rather good ones. Scorpio rules justice and survival. And generally it's because it might take some money to do it, but, maybe that's what's needed in order to survive. So people who are in debt really ought to try pretty hard to get out of it, because it could really sink them right now. And then Pisces rules things that go on behind the scenes, and it rules our most precious dreams. And so, since Mars is conjuncting Neptune right now, it means that somewhere in your life And throughout the world, this is happening to other people the same way it's happening to you. A very precious dream is certainly being faced with a horrible threat, a cruel one. And so I can give you an example of something where the question is so big, all of us have to really think about the decisions that we're making right now. And so the example is of a person who was a Pisces, and at the height of being a Pisces, you have universal love for everybody. And it's Pisces also rules charity, and it rules helping the downtrodden, and so universal love. And so there was somebody many, many years ago, about 2024 years ago, that got nailed to the cross. And as he's just hung there dying, he said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." And so in the face of death, and in the face of that person's tremendous dream being destroyed because he was getting nailed to the cross, he still kept love in his heart. And that's what we have to do. Because somewhere in all of our lives right now, that love of a precious dream, of wanting the best for somebody or for yourself, that's being really threatened. And you can't forgive who's threatening it. There aren't a whole lot of people like the guy that got nailed to the cross. We're not all that forgiving. And he did die. And so we have to think about what's threatening us right now. And you either have to decide if you're going to take it or if you're going to fight back. And that all will depend on how precious your dream is. Just how much do you want to pay for it? Because is it going to live or is it going to die? Neptune is at the 29th degree. This is a day when a decision arrives. And that decision, I think, is going to end up being based on your feelings more than anything else. Because the only trine in the heavens is among the water signs right now, and they rule our feelings. And so think about it. I'm sorry that took so long. The two stories, in addition to the predictions, that means this is going to be a long show, but I'll try to get through the rest of it. But this is a very, very important time for you to think about how you really feel about someone or something that is so important to you that maybe you're going to fight for it. Maybe you're going to resist. Maybe you're going to go for what you really love, no matter what. You can make it. You really could. One way or another. So don't give up on anything right now, because you have to be realistic at the same time. And so which is the faster planet, Mars or Neptune? Mars is going to leave Pisces. It's going to go into Aries. Well, it happens to rule Aries. It'll be really strong there for the good. Somebody's going to make a new beginning no matter what is standing in their way. They're going to do it. That could be you. Do you see what I mean? Don't give up on a precious dream. You might be a lot closer to going for it and succeeding at that than you think, because that Mars is going to move off Neptune. It's just real poorly placed right now. It's threatening all our dreams. And that could be big universal dreams, or it can be a country's dreams, or it can just be yours and my dream. But it's being threatened right now. And it depends on what you decide. And so what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries. Aries, there's a whole lot of trouble going on in the background of your life right now. And yet, I think you have a sort of a breezy, hopeful attitude about things. And I think you're still very dedicated to making a new beginning because Venus is in your sign. You could actually be in a pretty good mood. It's not Venus that's retrograde. It's going to be moving through your sign. It is Mercury that is retrograde in your sign. And that means you can be having second thoughts about how to proceed toward a new beginning right now. And there's no support in the other fire signs. There's nothing trining your sun. But you do have Venus there. And your ruler Mars is about to come into your sign. Right now it is conjuncting Neptune at the 29th degree of fate. So behind the scenes, something in your life has got to be decided. And it depends on how you react to some trouble that is going on in the background of your life right now, Aries. And you'll sort of have to decide how you want to react to that trouble. And I would urge you not to give up on a new beginning, but you may have to change your plans a little bit. And if you do, I would strongly suggest that you scale down your plans to fit in a smaller budget, because there's no support in the fire signs right now. And when Mars comes into your sign, it is really going to light a fire under you, Aries. You're just going to be zooming forward. But how much can you do on your own? Well, quite a bit at the startup of something. You know, you got to get it off the ground. You got to start it before you can have any other people involved. So that's fine. You'll have the energy to do that, but will you have the money? And that is what you have to really think about right now. And I would say you probably would have some money, or you could attract a partner that would have money. Venus is in your sign right now. And so, you know, somebody could come up with the money and you could come up with the tremendous energy, and maybe you would be off and running. That's possible. But it only will depend on what kind of a decision you are making about a troublesome matter in the background of your life right now. There's two malefic planets, Mars and Saturn, right behind your sun sign, and Mars is conjuncting Neptune behind your sun sign. So either something's on or it's over. And there is the possibility that a bubble could burst. It would not, you know, it's not like the lights are going out in your life, Aries, or anything like that. It's that you need to be a lot more careful about how you handle a matter behind the scenes, because that will have an effect on your new beginning. And if I were you, I would walk real softly right now, Aries. If you're in a confrontation with anybody, you need to quietly withdraw. You won't win a fight behind the scenes. What you'll do is you'll lose a dream. So I wouldn't get in a confrontation. Does that mean that you could be facing lower financing of some sort or higher debt right now? Maybe so, but I think that you would, with Venus in your sign, you could renegotiate terms on something. It might cost you a little bit more, but it's better than losing something more precious behind the scenes. But you could lose it if you get in a fight with anybody right now, and it's your ruler, Mars, that's on Neptune, and that means a dream is on or over. And if it's your dream, Aries, I would treat it real tenderly right now. You don't have to believe me, Aries. You can just do what you want. But you could lose more behind the scenes than you could gain in a new beginning right now. So if I were you, I would not tempt fate. Just think about it. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Taurus. This is a time, Taurus, when you can be looking over the money and saying, what happened to it? And that is because Jupiter is in your sign. And it is at 22 degrees exactly conjuncting Uranus in your own sign, which is a planet of volatility. That's why they call it a malefic planet. And then the sun is in your sign as well, Taurus, so you can be looking forward to doing things with money. And you know, Taurus likes expensive things because they work hard. They figure, why not? But Taurus, yours is a fixed sign. It has no support from any planets in the other earth signs because there aren't any anymore. It is really going to take the earth signs, and that is Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, a long time, maybe years, to understand that Pluto isn't supporting your sign anymore. It's not supporting the earth signs at all. Well, on top of that, Taurus, Pluto is in Aquarius squaring your sign. It's going to be doing that for the next 17 to 20 years. And at any time, your future plans could be threatened by future developments or or it could be that your finances are threatened. And they can certainly be threatened right now, Taurus. That is why you need to tread softly on things right now, because you could have higher costs right now, and you could have shrinking finances. And that is because Pluto in Aquarius, which rules the future, is squaring the 3 planets in your sign, and the full moon today, right now, is opposing all 3 planets in your sun sign, and it's the moon that is supported by 3 planets in Pisces, but there aren't any other trines except in the water signs. And so you're on your own, Taurus. And you do have good planets in your sun sign. But you are subject to sudden fluctuation and change in your financial conditions, which could be threatened right now. Because there's 5 planets in the fixed signs, and there 4 of them are in the financial signs, 3 of them are in your sign alone. And so I don't think you're looking at a stable financial condition right now, Taurus. And if you think you are, you better check again. Because I don't think the money is there, or there could be, you might have high debt. And if interest rates go up, the debt gets more expensive. Oh, that's not good. Or if the value of investments goes down and you're depending on the income, then your income goes down. Do you see what I mean? Financially, you're vulnerable right now, Taurus. And so I would pull back or step back. And if you don't mind me giving you sort of blunt advice, you should mind your own business right now, because your sign has no support from planets in the other earth signs, because there aren't any. And so you would be a little bit better just sort of waiting to see what happens, or else just start shrinking your budget right now. You know, find ways to save money, not spend money, because you're going to need to find those ways. And so this would be a good time to do it. Doesn't mean you're going broke or anything, Taurus, but it does mean that you're going to have to face financial challenges right now that you never thought you were going to have to face, and they're on your doorstep. And it simply means that every one of us has got to make a decision, an important decision, based on financial considerations. And you know, can you afford a precious dream, Taurus? Maybe you can, but it would still be threatened. The dream and your finances are going to be threatened. But actually, between the two of them, it's your finances that are more vulnerable, in a more vulnerable position right now. And Jupiter's on its way out. You've been enjoying Jupiter in your sign for most of the year, in fact, all the year. But it's on its way out, and next month it leaves your sign, and it won't be back for 12 years. So you need to think a little bit more conservatively about how to keep your hands on your own money, and maybe even shrink your expenses so that you have a little bit more income to work with. Not greater income, but if you get out of debt or you don't spend as much money anymore, you'll have more disposable income, and that is what could get you through a very vulnerable financial time right now. So you need to pull back, at least with your spending, for sure. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Gemini. This is a time, Gemini, when you can be faced with having to make a decision. And the decision is about something that you've been wishing for, something that was like a precious dream. And the reason why you'd have to be making a decision about that right now, and I would say the decision would have to do something with a commitment that either you are willing to make for a precious dream or not. And that might depend on the cost of it. And that is because Saturn, a malefic planet, Mars, and Neptune are all in Pisces, squaring your sun. And that simply means, since Mars is now conjuncting that Neptune, that for all of us, every single one of us, rich or poor, young or old, anywhere in the world, a precious dream of ours is being sorely threatened. It's either a great big dream that you believe in, or just a dream that's real personal to you. It's being threatened right now. And by what I would call malicious forces, greedy forces, and cruel on top of that. And so those planets are squaring your sun, Gemini. And so you really need to watch where you walk right now, Be very careful. I wouldn't believe everything people are telling you right now. That would not be a good idea. Do not fall for blue sky. It's not there. Now, somebody could just be trying to sell you, something that doesn't exist at all. Or be very careful in how you handle your finances right now. And I would say don't give any information away to anybody, because you don't know what they're going to do with it. And so you have to be real careful with your money right now. And also very careful with any kind of a dream that is really precious to you. You need to guard it right now, Gemini, because there is a better future coming for you. And you won't have to worry as much about something that you desire behind the scenes when these financial threats pass. But they're not passing. They're accelerating right now. And so you sort of need to play a waiting game, is what I'm saying. And Pluto in Aquarius is trining your sun. Well, Jupiter is going to come into your sun next month. I mean, you actually are very close to a wonderful expansion in your life, but it is being threatened right now. And that's why you've got to be really careful what you do, Gemini. And I would urge you not to give anything away right now about your plans at all. The decision that you make right now could be to be real quiet and just don't tell anybody what you're planning, because your life is really about to expand. Your life is going to get a whole lot better, but this is not the time to advertise that at all, and this is not the time for you to fall for any phony claims about anything either. So it isn't just laying low, it's that you got to be pretty quiet right now. Because somebody could come at you with a sad tale of woe, and if you fall for it, Gemini, you're the victim. No matter how much they say they're a victim, they're aiming at you to be the victim. So don't fall for anything like that. And maybe this is just a period of time when you need to be very quiet, but you can still hang on to your plans for expansion, because they are going to happen this year. But they are being threatened right now, perhaps by unstable financial conditions around you. Whether they happen to you or not, you could be affected if you are out in the public too much right now. I wouldn't do that. Stay away from the loan sharks and the people that are malicious, or anybody that thinks they can blackmail you in some way. Just forget it. Don't even talk to them. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Cancer. Well, lucky for you, Cancer, your ruler, the moon, today in Scorpio is trining your sun. Well, that's good. And also there are a total of 4 planets in the water signs trining your sun. There's nothing in your sun sign, Cancer, but the moon in Scorpio is trining your sun, which means there should be some more money coming your way. Or costs may not be quite as high as you had been anticipating. Or you could get a lucky financial break. I don't know if it's really lucky. It could be something that should be coming to you instead. And it gets there. And then Mars, Saturn, and Neptune in Pisces are all trining your sun. And it's good that your own ruler is trining your sun as well. Because Cancers, when they get hurt, the sign of Cancer is the crab. And when a Cancer's feelings get hurt, they pull into their shell, and they stay there. And even when they're thinking of coming out, think of how crabs move. They don't move straight forward. They move from side to get where they want to go. But they're pretty quick about that, but they don't come straight on. And so Cancer, the decision that you may need to make is really, how important is your precious dream to you? Because it's being threatened right now in one way or another. And what are you going to do about it? Because actually you could do something rather successful about it right now. However, if a person has to walk in the mud, or be around people that are not trustworthy, or who are malicious or shady, it could rub off. And I would suggest that you not do that, Cancer. But don't even rub elbows with anybody who is a suspect of greed or malice or or is very good at playing, oh, the poor me role in order to get something out of you. Don't fall for any of that right now, Cancer. Because actually, Cancer, with 4 planets trining your sun sign and one of them being your ruler, this is a time when you may decide that the most precious dream that you have, which would involve whatever you feel in your heart, is going to be worth it. And you may decide not to exactly get mad at anybody that's trying to stop it, but if your precious dream is being threatened, you could just have that serve as a reaffirmation of how precious your dream is to you. Because if you can see that it's being threatened, maybe the real truth, Cancer, is that maybe you haven't been willing to understand just how precious that is. And you could understand that now. How would you do that? Well, your sign rules are emotions. You would do it by the way you feel. If you don't have to go any further to search for an answer or how to make a decision, just ask yourself how you feel. And if you feel that a precious dream is worth it, then it's either on or over. And Cancer, I have a feeling it's on. It's on. You may have to be careful with it. It may be that you've been taking a few things for granted, thinking that you could take that time to move the way the crab moves, sort of side to side. When actually, if I were you, you got the lights in your favor, Cancer. And if I were you, I would go ahead and, if you can lock up a precious dream right now and protect it in some way and make it come true, you ought to work on that. Because the only signs really that are going to succeed right now are the water signs. But Scorpio is under a lot of threat itself. And Neptune is being hit by Mars right now. Do you see what I mean? It's up to you to come through with something now, Cancer. Because the other 2 water signs are, they're facing problems. But your sun trines them both. You may be the one that steps in and rescues the precious dream right before it's over and saves it. I have a feeling that is what you're going to do, Cancer. But it'll just be based on how you feel. You don't have to ask anybody else for an answer. It's just going to be how you feel. What is really in your heart? Whatever is there. You better try real hard to protect it now, because it is being threatened and it's on the verge of being over if it isn't saved. Remember the guy on the cross? He died, even though his love still lived. And you don't want that to happen to your love, Cancer. And so this is an important time when a decision arrives for you. Good luck. The stars are actually with you. I hope you do something with that, because it's time to save a precious dream that is under attack. Might take you to do it. Just remember that. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time, Leo, when for sure, it's too bad your sign rules gambling and extravagance, because gamblers are going to lose big right now, and extravagance is not going to get you into anything except debt. And the reason why is there's too many planets in fixed signs, and they are all squaring and opposing your sun sign, Leo. And that's too bad. There is a sort of a saving grace in the pressure that you're under right now, Leo, and it is that Venus and a retrograde Mercury in Aries are trining your sun. You just need to rethink how to make a new beginning work. Okay, you need to rethink that because Mercury's retrograde. And I would say you need to scale it down, because you're not going to have the money that you thought you were going to have. And the reason why is that full moon in Scorpio squares your sun today, and the sun and Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus all square your sun. There's a change in the value of your investments for sure, Leo, and it's not going up, it's going down. And so you're going to have to readjust your budget right now. because income is, if it isn't happening to you directly, it's happening to your employer, and that'll get to you sooner or later. And then Pluto in Aquarius is opposing your sun sign. And that Pluto in Aquarius is depicting somebody who knows what they're doing and is really headed for the future. And they're not headed for you, Leo. Okay, because that Pluto opposes your sun sign. It's going to be doing that for the next 17 to 20 years, Leo. So you need to face the truth about what direction your future plans are going in. And it might be wiser for you to pare down your future plans and fall back a little bit more on things that you know how to do or you can trust yourself. Because it looks to me like your financial situation is going to change, and it won't be for the better. And it also can put other things that your sign rules in doubt right now. And your sign rules love affairs, so they're in doubt. And your sign rules children, so the future of some children could be in doubt. Or your sign rules sports, so there can be problems with sports matters. Or it rules being an entrepreneur, and there can certainly be a lot less money around for that if you're trying to be an entrepreneur. So you need to rethink some new beginning that you are expected to succeed at, but not quite the way you thought you were going to succeed. It's going to have to be a little bit different. And that's why a day of decision has arrived for all of us. It's now. It's today. It was yesterday. And it's all about the money. And you will not be in a position to designate how you want the financial terms to be on something. Either financial conditions are going to change, or values of investments are going to change, or the costs could really rise. You won't be in control of any of that. And so you're going to have to decide how to rethink a new beginning that you want to make. And you know, Mercury's only going to be retrograde for 3 weeks. It's going back through Aries. Well, when it goes direct, it'll go right through Aries again. It'll still be trining your sun. And Venus in Aries is trining your sun now. Maybe the best answer for you right now, Leo, is to look for a partner that has more financial resources than you do that could help you a little bit if they were so inclined, but they too would be facing financial challenges. Every single person in the world is facing that right now. And so, Leo, this is not a time for you to take a gamble on anything. Don't do it. However, this is a time when the strongest planet in the heavens, Neptune, is at the 29th degree of fate and getting hit by Mars. And that means that a dream is either on or over. And so the only question for you, Leo, is how big does your new beginning have to be? It might involve a dream of yours. But could you pare it down a little bit or change the schedule that you have set up for it? Maybe allow for it taking a little longer time? I mean, could you modify it in some way? Or could you pick up different partners that could help you? There are ways to sort of get around financial challenges right now, but I would suggest that you only deal with very honorable people. Because somebody behind behind the scenes is about to get caught. And that'll burst their bubble. And if you're connected to them in any way, it could burst yours too. And so everybody has to be pretty careful about who they associate with right now. And if I were you, Leo, I wouldn't take a risk on anything right now. Just nothing. But if you wanted to look around for a partner who was excited about your new beginning, I think you could find one now. And then you could rethink how to do it. Maybe all you need is somebody who's sort of a little bit more in your corner. And it's looking like there's financial situations or people who are not in your corner right now. But if you talked a little bit more about your new beginning, not about the finances of it, because those will be threatened right now, but just what you want to do, you may attract a partner that could help you make your new beginning. And that would lighten your workload anyway, so think about that. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, remember there's nothing in the earth signs right now to fortify So there's nothing in your sign and there's nothing in Capricorn to fortify the sign of Taurus. However, the Sun, Jupiter, and Uranus in Taurus are all trining your Sun. And so both for you and Capricorn, it means that there can be some sort of a financial, not exactly windfall, but more money coming your way, or better financial terms that have to do with your investments. Or it may be, Virgo, that you're deciding to sell some high price investment. And even if you didn't get the high price you want, some money is better than none. And so you'd at least have that coming in if you sold. And that's good. And so in that sense, you could still profit even if you had to sell something that had been worth more and now the price had come down. But if you sell it, you at least are able to put that money in your pocket, which you would be able to do, Virgo, which, you could think about that. Or if you are realigning a pension, a 401k plan and the investments in that, this would be a good time to do that too. Because the value of that could fluctuate quite a bit right now. Okay, and so that would affect your retirement plans whenever you were deciding to retire. And so you should sort of pay attention to the bottom line right now is what I'm saying, Virgo. Because for you, Virgo, a dream is either on or over. And the reason why is that, last week Mars and Saturn were conjuncting each other. Ooh, there were bad people behind the scenes that did not have your best interest at heart. Even if they said they did, they didn't. But now Mars has moved up and Neptune is at the 29th degree of fate in Pisces, opposing your Sun. Mars is conjuncting it, opposing your Sun. And so that means that a dream is either on or over. Because Saturn is also opposing your Sun. These three planets could ruin your plans right now, Virgo. And, money isn't everything. I mean, Virgo is the sign of the bachelor. People who are strong in Virgo, they like their solitude. They like to be by themselves. Virgos are very good problem solvers. Virgo is not a selfish sign. It's a sign of service. It rules the whole healthcare field. The healthcare field is going under a tremendous threat right now. And there will have to be really important decisions made now regarding finances that are related to the healthcare field. Because that's what your sign rules, Virgo, and look at what's opposing it right now. Those three planets. That's what I mean by a dream is either on or over. Okay, so you have to decide what you want to do about that, Virgo. And I would say that you can be doubtful about some dream success right now. You may not be doubtful about yourself. Those three planets, including the Sun and Taurus, are all trining your Sun. Your sign does have backup. But it's a little bit volatile right now because Uranus is there. And Taurus is a fixed sign, and it's the fixed signs that are really under severe duress right now. So, if you had a precious dream, you could be thinking that it's sort of almost out of reach right now, or it's a little bit beyond your reach, or it's going in a different direction, or you don't know the whole story about it. And Virgos like to get the facts straight before they do anything. And maybe you don't know enough about what's really going on behind the scenes. And so you may be hesitant right now to make a decision about something. But every person in the world has reached a time when a decision has arrived. It's got to be made. And so my question to you, Virgo, since your sign rules accounting, is how much do you want to pay for a dream that you're not sure of? Or would you really prefer to wait until you knew more? Maybe you are sure of it, but you may be thinking right now that you don't know the whole story. You would sure be right about that. I wouldn't commit to a dream until both, and for sure until Mars leaves. And then the dream itself is going to move on, Virgo. That's why you really do need to sort of think about how committed you are to it, because it isn't just that Mars is conjuncting Neptune, it's that Neptune is at the 29th degree of fate. And yes, it'll go retrograde, but it'll come back throughout this year. And it'll come back and hit that 29th degree of Pisces again, which opposes the 29th degree of fate in your sign, Virgo, and then it will go right over that 29th degree and leave Pisces, and it will never be back in our lifetimes. Because Neptune is such a slow planet, a baby born today is never going to see Neptune in Pisces again. Because it'll never be back within the child's long lifetime. That's how slow Neptune is. We are at a stage now when it is a day when a decision arrives, and the decision could be really universal. Like, what kind of world do we really want to live in? Should it be based on love or hate? Should it be based on forgiveness or war? You know that could be big. Maybe you don't care about that right now, Virgo. Maybe you care a little bit more about your own privacy in your own life. Well, that's human nature. That's okay. But you're just at a point where you might decide you need to check things out further. You may not be able to, though, because these malefic planets are in a sign that rules things that are hidden behind the scenes. And so if I were you, I'd play a waiting game right now. Just wait something out, see how something turns out. And it doesn't mean giving up on your precious dream, but I would check the facts a little bit more closely before you believed in it completely right now, because it's being threatened. One question you could ask is my dream going to survive? Well, Mars is hitting Neptune right now. So everybody's dreams are being threatened. And either it's going to survive or it isn't. And you have between about right now and next March, when Neptune comes back and hits that 29th degree again and sails out of Pisces. So you need to ask yourself how important the dream is to you, Virgo, because there is the chance that once it leaves, it's never coming back. Are you willing to lose the dream? Well, how important is it to you? Those are questions you just need to ask right now, Virgo. You may not get a full answer to those, but you need to start asking those questions, maybe about yourself instead. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time, Libra, when you can be feeling that there can be, better days ahead for you, and people who are really interested in you in one way or another, and they could have future plans and sort of want to talk them over with you or involve you in their future plans. Why is that? Because Pluto in Aquarius, which rules the future, is trining your sun, Libra. And Libra, I think you along with everybody else are going to have to make some decision about your bottom line or your budget or how much you can afford right now. And I would not go overboard right now, Libra, if I were you. Your own ruler, Venus, is in Aries along with a retrograde Mercury, and they are opposing your sun sign. And so you may be rethinking some sort of new beginning. And even if it isn't your new beginning, it could be somebody else that you know who wants to make a new beginning, and they may be somewhat surprised that they have to rethink it. And so they could be changing their minds for one reason or another. It could be a good reason or a bad reason, but they could be changing their minds. And Libra, I would just wish them well and understand that things can change, people's plans can change, or their ideas, or the legal terms of a contract could change. And so with your own ruler opposing your sun sign, you may not be on the winning end of some sort of argument right now, so I wouldn't get in one, Libra. And Libras don't like to fight anyway. But I would just stay away from people who are antagonistic or quarrelsome or greedy. Just stay away from them. They can talk a tall tale to you right now, particularly about wonderful benefits if you join up with them on something, but I would wait and see how successful they are before you believe them. And it's a little doubtful, I would say. Anybody who's being speculative about anything right now, or taking a gamble on anything, is not going to make it right now. The money won't be there, or at least the amount of money they want won't be there. And yet a lot of people are in debt, including whole countries, and they have to pull back and pay off that debt. You know, debt doesn't just evaporate. You have to pay it off to get rid of it. And so there can be people that might surprise you right now that have enough debt that it can be stopping them. Oh, maybe they want to borrow money from you. Well, I'd think twice about that, Libra. I don't think you'll ever get it back. So, you know, your ruler is opposing your sun sign. This is not the time for you to be thinking that the world is a wonderful place. There are people who can be doing malicious things or having very harmful plans behind the scenes that could threaten anybody's dream right now. And if I were you, since Libras are very charming, nice people, I would be a little bit more quiet. You don't have to be social right now. There is somebody in a powerful position or who has a lot of experience that really likes you, Libra. And they're in your camp. But even then, I'd be a little bit quiet about things right now if I were you. You know, it isn't that your sign is being horribly threatened. Your own ruler is opposing your sign. That's too bad. But if I were you, with that full moon in Scorpio right ahead of your sun sign, you could get a pretty good look at a financial situation. But I do not think that you ought to play the hero and jump in right now, because you could be jumping into a sinkhole. You see, yes, the moon in Scorpio is being trined, but it's also being opposed by 3 planets in Taurus and squared by Pluto in Capricorn. And that Pluto trines your sun. I think you ought to sort of sit on your luck right now. You have nice people that really like you. I would value their friendship and ask for nothing more right now, because they're in your corner. And sometimes it's just nice to be comfortable with people that like you and believe in you. And there is somebody pretty high up that is in your camp, Libra. And at least they're head of their own company, or they could even be head of a government. And they like your style. And I think you should sort of quietly sit and enjoy that. And that's enough for now. Let the financial tensions work themselves out, but don't get involved. Just let the chips fall where they may right now, Libra. That is the most peaceful thing you can do. Anything else is going to land you in a little trouble. So, just enjoy the good favor from somebody who's very respectable and cares about you. That's enough for now. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, the full moon is in your sign today, and it was yesterday at 4 degrees when the moon was full. And so that full moon in your sun sign, Scorpio, means that you can be very involved in one way or another. First, with the 5 planets that are in a harsh T-cross in fixed signs, giving you financial challenges right now. It could be in the form of higher costs that people expect you to pay. They may not even be your higher costs. But, you know, people could be wanting your money right now, Scorpio. And that is because the Sun, Jupiter, and Uranus are all in Taurus. That's 3 against 1 here. The moon is the only planet in your sign. And so they could be wanting whatever you're going to give them. And my question is, there's only so much money in the world. How could your money do the most good, Scorpio? Well, I don't think it should go to greedy people. Let them spend their own money. They probably have it. They just want to use yours. Well, just let them go their own way, because their financial future is more threatened than yours is. And that's because there's no support in the earth signs, even if there are 3 planets in Taurus. There's nothing backing them up. And they're all being squared by Pluto in Aquarius, which is also squaring the moon in your sign, and Pluto is your own ruler. And so if I were you, Scorpio, I'd thank my lucky stars that the full moon in your sign, which is on your sun, is actually being trined by 3 heavy-duty planets in Pisces. I mean, there aren't any light planets in Pisces. They're all heavy-duty. 2 of them are malefic planets. Saturn is trining your sun. It means that older people like you a lot. or somebody has been around for a long time, perhaps in the background, that really approves of you and likes you, and is very honorable and trustworthy themselves. And then, because Saturn is direct. And then Mars, your own ruler, is in Pisces, and it is conjuncting Neptune at the fateful 29th degree in Pisces. And they are trining your sun. But that Mars, once again, in a sign that rules things behind the scenes, is capable of bursting somebody's bubble, destroying a precious dream. But since that's your ruler, Scorpio, and the moon is in your sun sign, stop and think about the reinforcement that you have coming from these heavy-duty planets. If anybody could save a precious dream right now, it's probably you. And if you don't want to miss the mark, if you don't want to settle for second best, then you're going to have to ask yourself, how do you really feel about something right now? And you would get a very clear answer about that. Because one light, the moon, which tries to sign it rules, Cancer, so it's very strong, is on your sun sign. So you could say to yourself, well, what is my most precious dream? Or who is a part of my life? Or who's really in my heart? So that doesn't concern your coworkers. It doesn't even concern your family members, who I'm sure you do care about. But who's in your private heart? You know, think of it another way. If something happened to your most precious dream, could you really recover from that? Because if the answer is no, then you need to do your best to save it. Because it's a part of you. And probably has been for a long time. And somebody's trying to destroy it. And somebody's got to save it. And your sign rules justice and survival. And if anybody can make a dream survive a malicious onslaught, something really cruel happening to it, it could be you. Sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. That's what Mars rules. Mars rules one fire sign, Aries, and Mars rules sharp instruments, and it rules the military, and your sign rules war. And sometimes the only way to solve a problem is to cut it out. And your sign rules medicine. What do you think surgeons do? Their whole lives are centered on saving other people's lives by cutting out a problem. And that's what you can do, Scorpio, right now. But it has to be the one that is the most precious to you, because it's your precious dream that is being sorely threatened by somebody who's, or an entity that is out to destroy it. And that's what you've got to save. Could you live without it, Scorpio? Would you be happy without your precious dream? Or would it be a blow if you lost it? Would it be like the death of a dream? Like the death of what or who you really care about? Could you stand that? The thing that each sign rules is the same thing that can destroy it. And Scorpio rules death. And the one thing that a Scorpio never really recovers from completely is the death of a loved one. It hurts them. And they know a lot about it because that's what their sign rules. And yet your sign rules survival. And it's so important to survive that if something that you love is, or someone you love is being threatened or maligned behind the scenes, and you really care a lot, you got to save it. It's up to you to save it, Scorpio. It's like, that's your mission. But it's up to you. It's just that particularly for you and your sign, a day of decision has arrived. It's here. It's now. And it has something to do with money. And it has something to do either with how you manage your money, or where it's going, or who else is wanting it. There could be a lot of greedy people around. And they may be destroying a precious dream of yours too. Maybe you have more than one precious dream. But there's one that you couldn't live without. And you got to save it, because it's really being threatened right now. It's up to you. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius, you could sort of have the best of both worlds right now, in that Venus and a retrograde Mercury in Aries are trining your sun, and that simply means that if you or somebody you know wants to sort of rethink how to make a new beginning, that would be okay with you. You'd be open to that. You could say, well, okay, maybe we could try it a different way, or maybe due to high costs and not enough money in the old budget, okay, we could do it. We could do it in a little bit more scaled back version. That would be all right with you, because those two planets trine your sun. But that's about the only thing that's all right now for you, Scorpio, because I don't mean Scorpio, I mean Sagittarius. Because Sagittarius, two malefic planets, Saturn and Mars in Pisces, and Neptune at the 29th degree of fate in Pisces, are all squaring your sun. And it is you as well that is very vulnerable to the attack or the malicious greed or cruelty behind the scenes that somebody is administering on a precious dream. Now, it may not even be your precious dream, Sagittarius, but you would be sorely affected by the outcome if they won. That would really be bad for you. And the reason why is because if we destroy something that has to do with love, and it could be universal love, or it could be saving a dream that needs saving, if we fail on that, it's going to hurt you, Sagittarius. It's also going to hurt Virgo, and it's going to hurt Gemini, because it's in a mutable sign, Pisces, and those are the other three mutable signs. So you've got trouble knocking on your door, Sagittarius. It might be behind the scenes. It might be something that affects something you believe in, but it may not affect your daily routine, or it could affect your job in one way or another, believe it or not, but not your daily routine or your beliefs. But once a precious dream dies, the whole world is going to suffer for it. And Sagittarius is a high-minded intellectual sign. It rules religion. It rules international law. It rules higher education. You know, the kind that discovers new things and helps the world out and solves big problems. You see how you could be hurt if that dream goes away? If all those dreams go away? The betterment of mankind is being threatened right now. And each one of us can do something to save that. We don't all have to be saving the same thing. But if we wanted to save something precious that was being threatened right now, this is just about the last minute that we could do that. Neptune is at the 29th degree of fate. It'll retrograde, and then it'll come back and go over that 29th degree again in March, and that's it. The dream is really gone. And it depends on what your values are, Sagittarius. But Sagittarians do have pretty high values. And they're very knowledgeable about what's going on in the world. They keep up on the news. And so, how can you save a precious dream, Sagittarius? And as I said, it might not be your personal dream, but if it disappeared, it would make you unhappy. And so that's worth saving. So you can just think about it, Sagittarius. We all have to think about it. This day of decision that is arriving, it's a decision all of us have to make, and some of it can be involving financial challenges right now that are pretty severe. But it also involves our values and what's in our heart. And for you, because yours is an intellectual sign, Sagittarius, it does involve what's in your mind. what you think, what you believe in upholding. That's what's being threatened. So I just wanted to let you know, Sagittarius, we all have to do our part to save something that's being sorely threatened right now. So I hope you do. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time, Capricorn, when it can be a little quieter now than it has been lately for you. And the reason, and Capricorns like things being sort of steady, and Saturn is your ruler, Capricorn. Just taking one step at a time is okay with you. You don't need to be in a rush. That's fine. Capricorns live a long time. They can afford to just sort of go along steadily. And Pluto has been in your sign for the last 17 to 20 years, giving you a greater sense of your own power and your own truth. And now that it has moved into Aquarius, you're at a level that you were not at 20 years ago. And you have a lot more confidence in your own talent right now and in what you have done to make yourself more secure. Capricorns are very security prone. And you could be pretty pleased with where you are right now, Capricorn. But Pluto's not there anymore. It doesn't mean that, things are just going to burst forward right now. But the Sun, Saturn, the Sun, Jupiter, and Uranus are in Taurus, trining your Sun. And that means there could be more money coming your way, or better financial terms on something, or it can be that you might be one of the few people in the world right now, Capricorn, who is not worried about the rise and fall in their investments. Maybe you've got your money just locked away somewhere and it's safe. And that's a good idea, Capricorn. You don't need to be spending money right now. Nobody should be taking a gamble on anything right now. They're not going to win. And so, Capricorn, it is the pressure that I'm thinking you may have been under recently was because Mars was conjuncting Saturn, your own ruler, in Pisces. And even though they were sextiling your Sun, it's not too good. When two malefic planets are conjuncting each other, that's double trouble. But Mars has moved on. And now it's up to conjuncting Neptune, which means it could destroy a dream. And those planets in Pisces all sextile your Sun. If there is something that you think is a dream that you've had, Capricorn, you too should be trying to do something to save it and do your best. And you can just do it one step at a time. You don't have to be in a hurry, Capricorn. But the value in your life is that you have time on your side. And you've probably known that all your life. Because Capricorns know how to use time very effectively to their benefit. They know how to do that better than anybody. And Capricorn rules history. And it rules things that go on a long time. So Capricorn rules Great Britain. And it also rules the state of Texas. And it means that when the chips are down, nobody's going to give up, no matter what. So Capricorns are just born knowing that. And so that means, Capricorn, that as Mars moves out of Pisces, and Saturn is just sitting there alone, and it's your ruler, but it's sextiling your Sun, then what you need to be a little bit careful about is new things that you would want to try out. You just have to look before you leap, Capricorn, because Mars will move into Aries and begin to square your Sun. And you just have to make sure that whatever is happening in your life, say in the next month or two, or a couple of months, is done at your speed. Is done the way you want something done. Okay, that's more important than how long something takes. It's just, if you can only take a little bit of something, and it's going to take a whole lot longer, say to make a dream come true, that's okay with you. You know that time is always going to work for you. So the only thing you really need to decide right now is what you're comfortable doing, and if it's starting something new, it sort of has to be in a way that still makes you feel pretty good, or it's done in your style. Like, don't be in a rush. Capricorns are never in a rush. They don't need to be. They're going to outlive all of us. And they're tough. They're really tough. So, Capricorn, just look before you leap. Just know what you're getting into. And if something that you want to do is at your speed, I think that's going to be fine. You don't need to care when it ends, or you don't need to care when you succeed, just as long as you're on a path that you can keep going on. That's what's important to a Capricorn, the steadiness. And so you might be in a good place now and also have enough money to be able to take something that's sort of slow but sure and not worry about it and just sort of let it go. And you can go with it, Capricorn. You're going to do fine. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time, Aquarius, when you might feel like you're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. And the reason why is that Pluto is in your sign. That's wonderful for you. It's going to get a whole lot more wonderful in about another month or so when Jupiter goes into Gemini and trines that Pluto in your sign. That's going to bring nice things to you. A minimum of 2 nice things or nice people to you, Aquarius. And they could be younger, or it could be something that is short-term or temporary but delightful. Hey, you'd have a lot of fun. But for right now, Aquarius, the reason why you can be sort of caught between the devil and the deep blue sea is because that full moon in Scorpio is squaring Pluto in your sign, and Uranus, your own ruler, which is conjuncting Jupiter in Taurus, is also squaring your sun, and so is the sun in Taurus. And so there is a financial matter that you're not exactly coming out the winner on, Aquarius. And my guess is that something is sort of expensive right now, or you're having to pay for something that isn't worth the price that you're having to pay, but you're sort of stuck. A lot of people are. Inflation is just eating our money up. Well, between that and taxes and the high cost of living everywhere, it's really causing financial problems for everybody. But your sign is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus rules sudden, surprising change. So yes, it does rule invention and things ahead of their time, which you are really interested in. And you're going to stay interested in new things for the next 17 to 20 years while Pluto is in your sign, and become more and more powerful and comfortable using them. You're going to be real successful with new things, Aquarius, or new ways. Even if you've always expressed yourself in one way, there will be different ways to do that, and you'll like that too. And so you're looking at a pretty successful year, Aquarius, but not at the moment. And the reason why is that there's a financial challenge around, and then right ahead of your sun sign are 3 planets that are in trouble. And it's Saturn in Pisces, and then Mars is conjuncting Neptune, which is at the 29th degree in Pisces. So right in front of you, Aquarius, you can see the possibility that a dream is either on or over. And you would not be too sure what it's going to end up as. You don't know if it's going to be on or if it's going to be over. And that is because these planets are right ahead of your sun sign. You think that you'd be able to see the outcome of something right now, but it's in a sign that rules things that are hidden behind the scenes. And not everybody can see what's going on. And so if I were you, I wouldn't dip my toe in the water right now, Aquarius. You like trying new things. But if there is no advantage to trying them right now, maybe you could just wait a little while and then try them. Because you don't know the rest of the story. Nobody does. Nobody really knows every terrible thing that's going on behind the scenes. But I can guarantee you those things are around, and they are at the point of actually destroying a precious dream. Whether it's a universal dream of love, or whether it's just something each individual loves in their hearts. Whether it's a person, or it's a goal, or it's an idea. It's on the threat of extinction right now, a precious dream is, because Mars is conjuncting a planet at the 29th degree of fate. And it's the strongest planet in the heavens, but the question is, how strong is a precious dream right now? Can it withstand an onslaught? Well, the guy that was nailed to the cross and bled to death and still said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do," his dream of universal love lived, but he didn't. And so, Aquarius, just look before you leap right now. Don't go and be so excited and in a rush to do something new that you do not discover what the rest of the story is about it. You certainly need to wait and let that unfold first. And I can guarantee you it's going to pay you to wait, because Jupiter is coming into Gemini just a month from now and trine your sun. Maybe it's something really good that will come out of all these problems. Maybe your precious dream will be saved. If so, it's going to be real good for you. So I would just take my time right now, Aquarius. There is a financial matter that has to do with your investments or with money debt that you owe, or the price of something. And that can be enough for you to worry about right now. So I wouldn't jump into anything right now. At least wait a month until Jupiter trines your sun, because that's going to be wonderful for you. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time, Pisces, when you are at the point where a decision has, the need to make a decision has arrived. It's right now. And it was yesterday, because the full moon in Scorpio was yesterday, and it was trining your sun. And you're one lucky person that something was trining your sun, because there isn't a trine in any of the other elements except the water signs. And so that moon in Scorpio, which rules Cancer, so it was a very strong full moon, is trining your sun even today. And that's good, because Neptune, your own ruler, is under attack. Mars is now at 24 degrees of Pisces. It is conjuncting Neptune it's conjuncting Neptune at 29 degrees. And that's a degree of fate. And so, Pisces, you must be at a point right now when you have to make a decision about something really important that involves a precious dream of yours. Now, yours is a double-bodied sign. You might have two precious dreams, but one of them is more important than the other. And one of them is closer to extinction than you think, because it is suffering the onslaught of malice upon it. Or there are people around that would do anything, lie, cheat, and steal to make sure that precious dream doesn't come true. Remember, it could be a great big one, like saving the world, or it could be just something that is super important to you. And it could be somebody that's very important to you. So who's the most important person in your heart, Pisces? Who's the one you can't live without? Who's the one that is your soulmate? Because you got to save that person. You got to do your best. It doesn't matter when you meet them. You could have had them in your secret heart for a long time. Or else they could have finally arrived, which would be good. But now that means you have to finally make a decision about it. And the decision may have something to do with a financial matter as well. But it's a financial matter that could work out. It's a troublesome financial matter at the moment. But yours isn't a fixed sign, Pisces. Okay, it's the fixed signs, the two financial fixed signs especially, that are getting hammered right now. And the sign of Leo and Aquarius. Because there's 5 planets squaring and opposing each other in these fixed signs, and that includes the financial signs. Okay, so there's a big problem there. But Pisces, they are so good at feeling what is inside of people and empathizing with them. And all I'm saying, Pisces, is who or what is your most precious dream? Because you need to do something about that now. And the reason why is that your own ruler is at the 29th degree of fate today. And even though it retrogrades, it'll come back over that 29th degree of fate by next March when it permanently leaves Pisces. And your dream's going to go with it if you don't save it, if you don't do something about it. And okay, so it may either take a decrease in your, in other words, if there are some high costs involved, you might have to pay them. On the other hand, if it involves someone that you can't live without, who shares your values, the kind of values that are real important to you, it could be somebody new that's ahead of their time. Because Aquarius is right behind your sun sign, and Pluto is there now for the first time in our consciousness. And that's a pretty good planet to have in the sign of the future. It could mean that there is somebody very important to you that has their eye on the future. And they may be involved in your dream in some way. Or maybe you're just looking for a better future and somebody better to share it with. And it's time you made up your mind about that before you lose them. Don't do that. Because a part of your heart would go with them. So you'd really be hurting yourself too if you denied yourself the private joy and pleasure of someone who makes you happy way inside. Even like two souls who can't be apart. Okay, well, this is the time to be together then. But you have to decide that, and you have to make your move, or you lose. So think it over, Pisces. This is a time when a decision arrives, and each one of us has to make it by ourselves. But it certainly involves something that is so precious to us that we don't feel we can live without it. And that could be someone you really have always cared about, even if you never said anything. If they were always in the background of your life because you cared about them so much, don't lose them, Pisces. The dream is too close to the end. Neptune is at the 29th degree of fate. Even if it retrogrades sometime this year, by March, it crosses over that 29th degree of fate, and it never comes back, and your dream doesn't either. It'll be gone. Don't wait any longer, Pisces. Come forward. Make your intentions known. If you decide. But I can tell you, I can guarantee you, you cannot afford to wait any longer. For one thing, the dream is so threatened now by other malicious forces that if you don't save it now, it's gone because of them. And by the time Neptune leaves Pisces, for sure, by next March, it's gone because of you, because you didn't do anything. Either way, it's gone. And that means you've got to come forward and decide to save your most precious dream, the one that's really a part of you. Particularly for a Pisces, they do not live for themselves alone. A Pisces is not well, remember your sign is one of kindness. But in serving others, when's the last time you were kind to yourself? You and your dream are just as important as anything else in this world, Pisces. And if you don't fulfill your dream and make yourself complete, then you can't do a whole lot of good to anybody else either. So think about all that. Okay? All right. I'm sorry this show took so long. This is a very important time in all of our lives throughout the world. And we all have to be making decisions now that help us live up to the best that's within us. And so I hope we all do that. Thank you very much for listening and being so patient. And remember, you can sign up for my Karen Campbell YouTube channel and subscribe to it, and I wish you'd tell your friends about that. And then you can read the blog on my website, starborninstitute.org, and it will explain a little bit more about the show's theme every week as well. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you next week. Bye.